Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are back today. This should be about somewhere around part 4 of this little red wagon project. Right now we are working on the front suspension still, front axle, steering, brakes, all that fun stuff. I've got my helper out here today with me.
Hi! And
All
don't
right.
forget to subscribe.
Thank you. Yeah, like she said, don't forget to subscribe. So we're working on this wagon. We've got a lot going on with it. I've been calling it the little red wagon because, well, the faded orange paint was originally red, but I'm wondering if I should rename it the Wickeder Willys, because one of the off-road channels, they did the Wicked Willys years ago with really old tech, way over arch springs. It's a really dated reference. I recommend you look it up on YouTube, Project Wicked Willys. And I'm going to try to take this thing and make it what I thought that should have been. So anyways, that's just an aside. We got work to do today. So we're going to get the old leaf springs off. This is just cutting and grinding and making noise and dust because we got to get the leaf spring and the spring perches off of here so that we can get the new spring perches in position and built. So let's get it done.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it. I'll still hold this.
Okay,
Whoa, it's shaking.
there we go.
Here.
All right, let's go ahead and go on over and get this side.
Papa, I think it's because that there's a lot of dirt.
Yep.
And I'm getting my fingers rubbed on it.
Well, yeah. That's what happens when you help me out here.
I'll just put that down right.
Okay. Perfect. Getting these rear spring perches and springs off are going to be, well, it'll be awesome. Now, go ahead.
Okay.
Those rivets are well and truly in there. Next up, drill them out. Need a center punch. There we go. I suspect I'll have to drill these out and also drill out these lower ones because this rear spring hanger is probably welded to the frame as well.
I can help you with that.
It's okay. Hand me that hammer right there, right in front of you. Yeah, that one. Yep.
It's not even heavy. It's like a mini earthquake for that. Mini earthquake, earthquake, earthquake. It's like a mini earthquake. Earthquake, mini earthquake.
Yep. It's interesting what you find on these old vehicles. This frame rail has been ripped right along here and right there. It's been welded up with probably some 6010, 6011, something along those lines. We might have to think about reinforcing that before we add the new suspension on there. That means we'll have to source some more material, and that's fine. It's something to consider as we move through this project though, when we find bits and pieces of damage like that. But for now, we're just going to get these hangers off of here, and we'll just keep working on it a little bit at a time. So at this point, we have to cut these spring perches off of the frame. We've got to cut the welds that are tacking the spring perches on. Then we can get rid of those rivets to knock those perches off of here. So I've done this before on my CJ5, and you come down to two different options. You either drill the rivets out or you torch them out. And it's a long story, but I'm pretty adverse to fire inside of an attached garage. So I'm only doing the absolute bare minimum of welding to get everything tacked into place, and then I'll go weld this outside. And that goes the same for a torch. So I'm going to lay on my back, let the shavings fall right down my face as I'm drilling, and we're going to drill these rivets out from the bottom side if we can. Okay, we'll do everything we can to try to avoid getting in here with open flame. That's really high on my list of stuff not to do. But we still got to get these spring hangers off. Hot metal showering down on me. And my evening spam phone call. Fantastic. Oh, that burns. The faster I go, it's actually cutting very well. But all those hot little bits of metal on my face, it's just, I'm too pretty for this. Okay, we all know that's not true. Still, get my face out of there maybe. I knew I had it mostly there. All right. We'll save those for later. We won't save them for later. Have to do some cleanup on this bottom of this frame rail with a grinder. Overall, I think we got a plan. I'll go ahead and just knock that other one off, and then I'll probably call that an evening, because I have about an hour. I have about an hour at a time to work on this thing. So I think I can get this other one knocked off tonight. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow night, when it'll be even more fun when I'm taking off the rear spring hangers. I don't know how I'm going to get those off yet, guys. I might have to drag the torch in here. I won't be able to. I'll think about it, all right? And maybe I'll have a plan tomorrow night. But until then, I'll knock that other one off, and I'll call it a night. Yeah, I'd cut through most of the weld. That wasn't what was holding it on. It was this back rivet. I must have just didn't get that back rivet drilled through deep enough. Whew. Yeah, that was tough. Anyways, that was the last one of the 4 original spring hangers. I'll clean this frame rail up, grind that down smooth, and we'll be ready to put the new spring hangers in place and start mocking this up. Progress. We're looking good, guys. It's time for me to go in though, so I'll catch you again tomorrow. We're starting to get to the critical juncture in this project, right? We've got the leaf springs bolted to the axle. They're not bolted down securely yet. I can still shift them on the axle. They're both sitting there. We do not have any spring perches welded to the frame yet. Nothing's connected. This is it. This is the rub. If you're setting up a spring suspension, this is the critical part, right? We want to make sure that this suspension is going in there square, true, so that we're not dog walking down the road looking like a fool and people laughing at you when they can see, see you're not tracking true. So here's what we've got. All right, we're not square, but we're parallel. We got a great parallelogram going here. We are exactly 34 and 5/16 from outside to outside, front and back. We're exactly 44 and a half from the bottom corner to the center of that bolt on both sides. Our stick out of that, oh good grief, of that spring hanger on both sides, they are right at 3/4 of an inch on the front. The frame is actually, it's coming in. The frame's doing one of these things. Right there where those spring hangers are is starting to come in to give you more room for your front axle to steer. So that's why it looks a little bit funky. But it's funky on both sides. It's appropriate. That's the way it's supposed to be. I'm really happy with how those are all lined up. If I'm not within a 30 seconds, I would be absolutely flabbergasted. Well, here's the deal. I'm in my house garage. I'm not going to fully weld this here because I don't have 220 in the garage. And so I've got my little Miller-Matic 135 in here. I'm just going to tack the suspension in place. And while I do that, I can get the parallel out of that parallelogram. So yeah, let's tack these things on there and make this that much better. Just this much closer. All right, next step in here, we've got these rear spring hangers in place. They're tacked in place, we're good to go. It's time to set up the front spring hangers. So we've got to weld these together. You've got the bushing housing. This just this piece of pipe or tubing that's been cut to length, and it's going to weld into these brackets. There's two brackets here. They're just affixed right there. We'll split those apart. First step for me is to bevel these things so that I can get better weld penetration. So I'm going to take my flat disc and my grinder and just grind away at least at about a 45-degree angle. I'm going to grind away about half the thickness, maybe a little bit more. These I think are 1/4 inch thickness, and that'll let me get full weld penetration or closer to it. The more weld, the better. The other alternative is to just build up the weld on the outside, which is acceptable, but I'm taking a few extra minutes and we'll go ahead and just bevel these out real quick. All right, you can see right there we have beveled that out at least 1/3 to half the thickness. It varies. It's a little bit tough getting that flat disc in there. Different diameters, doesn't quite fit, but that's all right. We'll take these out to the big welder and we'll burn the shackle bushing retainer tube things in place. It'll be great. Lincoln Electric 225 set to 105 amps. We're gonna all right, don't look too close or get too picky about it. That's about what I can do with 6011 rod. I'm happy with that. That's going to be plenty strong enough. There's I have zero concerns about driving that up and down the road. And so we have a set for the front and a set for the rear. When we do the rear suspension, we can go tack those onto the wagon in there. And well, we got some other stuff to do. I got to build some shackle hangers. We got stuff. Let's just keep working on this. All right, we made ourselves a set of shackle hangers by welding 4 pieces of 3/8 flat stock together, 3/8 by 2. Welded it together after we cut it so that we could drill the holes in the exact same spot. Now we just got to finish grinding off the welds and we'll be able to see how this thing looks at the correct ride height. So let me grind this off and we'll just kind of see how this is going to look. A little tiny bit more cleanup work. sure you use the right, appropriate, and proper tool for all this kind of stuff. Good old freebie claw hammer. It's always the right tool. Let's see how these end up looking. Well guys, this is a couple of weeks later. I realized when I was editing this video and putting it together, I lost the ultimate finish to this video. My intent of this video was to show the installation of the leaf springs, the leaf spring perches, and how that's all going to fit and sit together. And what we just ended with was the last video I had of that process. So let's give you a little look around or walk around of what we have. We have of course our front leaf spring perches in position, front and rear. Or excuse me, left and right, drivers, both sides. Spring perches are in position. You can see they stick outboard of the frame a little bit. That's okay. We're going to triangulate that, reinforce it. We went ahead and added some frame extensions that we built up that are going to come to the full, just past the front of that spring hanger. And that's going to fully support these spring hangers when I take this outside and fully weld it. Of course, we had these spring shackles that I I drilled some holes, all right? But spring shack hangers that I built. And, well, the ultimate is, hey, look at that. We are sitting on 3.5-inch lifted springs for a Jeep Wagoneer. So the whole purpose was to go with a wider, softer, yet still more stable leaf spring than the skinny 1.75-inch standard sleeve spring. So those standard leaf springs are narrower, they're shorter from front to rear in overall length, and that gives you a rougher ride, especially when you try to lift. These longer leaf springs are going to give me a softer, smoother ride, yet still be more controllable than those narrow, shorter leaf springs. All that to say is, this is coming together, guys. There's stuff in here that you'll see in the next video I'm working on right now. I'm working on the steering and getting the Saginaw set up, and that's going to be fantastic. You'll have to stay tuned for that. We're going to close this video out here right now, though. Cool. Guys, thanks for watching. This is progress. This thing is starting to look pretty good. And if you come around and you can see that we have a bit of a rake now, or a lean from front to rear, even with different size tires. So we'll have to address the rear suspension and equalize everything out when we get there. It's all part of the plan. We'll get there. Just, you have to take these things one step at a time when you're working in half of a garage bay, making sure you don't ding up the wife's minivan. So thanks for watching, guys. Go out in your garage. I know if you don't have a lot of room, I don't have a lot of room. Go out there and just work on your projects. Get started on something. It's amazing how far you can get on a project when you don't know what you're doing, but you still just do it anyways. Catch you on the next video.